Welcome to a trip through time. Are you ready to travel to the past? Emily and Jay were bored. Their dad was a famous scientist. He worked in his lab. He never let them in. But one day, the children ignored him and snuck in. There was a strange machine with 1,000,000 buttons on it in the room. They were surprised when they saw it.
Wow!
Their dad had told them about a new invention, a machine they could use to travel back in time. Emily and Jay walked into the time machine without thinking. Jay accidentally hit a lever and the machine started to talk.
Hello, children. I'm Time Zor. Why did you turn me on? Now you must travel with me through time. Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to a prehistoric town from many, many years ago. Welcome. My name is Brimar. I'm this tribe's chief. Sit near the fire and tell me who you are. Careful, don't burn yourselves. People discovered fire around 790,000 years ago. Thanks to this discovery, they could protect themselves from wild animals, cook their food, and make weapons and tools. These paintings from ancient times of animals and lions have been found on rocks and caves. They are some of the oldest artwork known to man. One of the oldest and most important is in Spain, in the cave of Altamira.
Look, Jay! They're hunting mammoths over there. They'll eat its meat, make clothes from its skin, make paintbrushes, and make tools. The mammoth is a mammal similar to an elephant that went extinct around 11,000 years ago. They lived in herds and ate grass and shrubs. The biggest ones could grow to 17 feet high and 30 feet long. In the Paleolithic period, people needed to create tools to hunt and cook. They built them from wood, stone, and animal bones. Knives, arrows, and axes are some examples of tools.
Wow! And look over there! A man fishing with a spear! Hey! And that woman is picking berries! Speaking of food, I'm hungry. Brimar, is there a burger place anywhere around here?
Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to Egypt more than 2,000 years ago, the age of the great pharaohs.
Hey, Emily, what's that woman doing on that throne? And why are those men carrying it? That must be pretty boring work, huh?
That's Cleopatra, the pharaoh of Egypt. The Egyptians worked hard to build their pyramids. Excuse me, Cleopatra? Why do you have such a big house just for you?
Hey!
Dear child, what you're calling a house is actually a pyramid, a temple where they bury pharaohs. When a pharaoh dies, he is embalmed and placed here forever.
I don't want to be a pharaoh then. I want to be a farmer or a merchant and travel on the Nile.
Cleopatra was the last queen of ancient Egypt. She was a beautiful and intelligent woman. She spoke 7 languages. She inspired many painters, sculptors, and writers.
When the wealthiest Egyptians, and the pharaoh and his family, died, Their bodies were embalmed and prepared to conserve them as long as possible. They cleaned and perfumed the body, wrapped it in bandages, and placed it in a wooden coffin. The Nile is the longest river in Africa. It was very important in ancient Egypt. Because of the river, people could grow cereals and transport goods and people.
In ancient Egypt, each doctor treated a different disease. They knew the parts of the body, made medicine, and even had instruments they used in operations. Fasten your seatbelts. We're traveling to the Italy of the Renaissance, a great time of discovery and art.
Fantastic! I always wanted to meet the artist Michelangelo and ask him if he painted the Sistine Chapel himself or if someone helped him.
Hello, children. Do you like my work? I did it all myself, even though it took 4 years.
The Sistine Chapel is the most famous chapel in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Its ceiling is a series of fresco paintings by Michelangelo. He was an Italian Renaissance architect, sculptor, and painter, considered one of the greatest artists of all time. His most famous sculpture is David, and his most famous painting, the ones in the Sistine Chapel.
Is that the famous painter and inventor Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo, who is that woman in the painting?
Hey!
That is La Gioconda, also known as La Mona Lisa. Isn't she beautiful?
La Gioconda, also known as the Mona Lisa, is a painting by Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci. It is considered the most famous painting in the world and is housed in the Louvre Museum. He was born in Vinci in 1452. He was a painter, sculptor, inventor, architect, musician, anatomist, chef, philosopher, which is why he's known as a Renaissance man. Some of his more famous works are La Gioconda and The Vitruvian Man. We're traveling to London at the height of the Industrial Revolution. Hang on tight.
This city is filled with smoke, and it's so noisy. Let's go ask those kids if there's a park nearby.
Hi! What's your name? You're not going to school today?
Hello, my name's George. My parents work at the factory, and I'm a scientist's helper. Look at this machine. It's called the telegraph. It's used to send messages. In 1837, Morse invented the telegraph in Boston. This invention allowed people many miles apart to communicate using a code. Its use extended to the United Kingdom.
George, can you show us around the city? We can go on a carriage or on a train. I want to visit London, the Thames River, and Big Ben.
For rich people, the main means of transportation at this time in London were horse-drawn carriages. Everyone else walked. When cars were invented, carriages practically disappeared from cities.
The first steam engines appeared during the Industrial Revolution. They made it easier to transport people and goods. They were used on land to transport people and things with trains and on water with steamships.
Look, that's Charles Berry, Big Ben's architect. Big Ben is a very, very tall tower. I want to study and be like him when I grow up.
Big Ben is the name most people know for the Great Bell Clock Tower at the English Parliament in London. It was designed by Charles Barry and finished in 1858. The clock is famous for its precision. We're traveling to California. We're going to meet Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak, the creators of the first personal computer. Fasten your seatbelts. Hi, kids. Welcome to our offices. We just created the first personal computer, the Apple I. He founded Apple in 1976 with his friend Steve Wozniak. Thanks to the success of the Apple II computer, he became very famous and widely respected.
The Apple I was the first personal computer created by the Apple Company in 1976, designed by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. A few years later, they invented Apple II, the first computer in the world to sell successfully.
That heap of junk and cables. My dad has a computer at home with that Apple drawing, but yours is really old. Are you sure it works?
Of course. It's an amazing machine. Till now, nobody could have a computer at home.
His inventions and machines were fundamental to the evolution of personal computers. He founded Apple with Steve Jobs and created the Apple I and Apple II computers.
Mr. Wozniak, it doesn't look to me like it will work, but if you say so. I do know that in the future you guys are going to be very famous. Right, little brother?
An instant camera is a kind of camera that takes a picture and prints it off the camera.
Dad, we're so sorry we disobeyed you and went into your lab. We'll never do it again.
Emily, Jay, where were you? I was so worried. I thought you'd gotten lost. Come here and give me a hug. This story is coming to an end. Emily and Jay learned that you must always obey adults. And they discovered that with respect and teamwork, the world works better.
Click on the box to see other stories and discover new Smile and Learn adventures.